Hello and welcome to the FAQ video of Europa Universalis Free Divine Wind with me, Alfapiomega. I will be your host and I will answer your questions today. Right before I went on my vacation, as some of you know, I asked all of you that if you have any questions which you want answered, just let me know by sending me a message or commenting on my video, but preferably sending me a message with your question and I will try to answer them. I received like 4 of your questions, and the other ones I will be answering today will be the questions that I consider are the most frequently asked questions on my videos on my channel. Once this is cleared, which is now, I guess, I think we can start with question number 1. Question number 1. How to get out of a personal union? That is a very good question because it concerns several countries, even mine, in the beginning of the game. And if you are unlucky, this can happen to you at any part of the game. I don't know, like even right before the end. The only exception to this and the whole problem of personal union are the countries which have a government which is not concerned with personal union. This is, for example, theocracy or, well, hordes, but mostly the countries that are republics of any sort, whether merchant republic or administrative republic, or even a noble republic. Noble republic is the only one which I think can have a royal marriage, but it can never get into a personal union with anyone. So these countries are not concerned. Personal union basically means that 2 countries, one is a major partner and one is a lesser partner, have only one king. If you're lucky, this will happen to you at some point with your king leading the personal union. If you're unlucky, you can get, or you can start as a lesser partner in the personal union. This means that you don't have your own king and the other country is controlling the king. The size of the countries does not matter for most part. So, for example, even like mines, if they're not a vassal of someone, no, they're not. So even mines as a archbishopric, oh, sorry, the archbishopric. So let's find someone other. Yeah, let's. No, that's a bishopric as well. Crap. Okay, whatever. Let's say Great Britain. Great Britain could enter personal union with Prussia at any moment, based on the fact that their country doesn't have a proper king. What I mean by a proper king is this: their king dies and they have an heir with a weak claim or no heir at all, and usually there has to be a king. Their original king should have a weak claim. There's also another way. I'm not gonna get into detail of how to enter a personal union with another nation because there's a lot of ways. But just let me say that if you are a major partner in a personal union, all is well. If you are a lesser partner in a personal union, you need to find your way out of it as soon as possible, because if you don't, the country that is a major partner in the personal union can inherit your country, which means all of your lands, colonies, and overseas territory will become theirs. So that's something you want to absolutely avoid. So now you are a lesser partner in a personal union. By the way, if you are a major partner in the personal union, all I'm gonna say, affects you, but vice versa. So you have to avoid what I'm gonna say. You have to do now. I guess you understand that. So, as a lesser partner of you as a lesser partner in a personal union. Sorry, there's a lot of same words, so I hope you can understand me. As a lesser partner in a personal union, there are basically two ways for you how to get out of the union. The first one I cannot recommend, but it's a way of a sort. It's very simple. You just declare war on um, on your king. Basically, he's your king because he's leading your country. That means that if you're Sweden, you declare war on Denmark. If you're Brandenburg, you declare war on Luxembourg. Why I don't recommend this is because you immediately face a number of enemies, usually on all sides. For example, if you would be Sweden and you declare war on Denmark, you not only you not only have to face Denmark, but also Norway and all of Danish allies. If you're Brandenburg and you declare war on Luxembourg, you don't only have to face Luxembourg, but you also have to face Bohemia and all of allies of Luxembourg. As a nation in a personal union, you cannot make your own allies. So basically, and if someone lays a protection on you, this does not count because you're the aggressor. So this is pretty tricky situation. I'm not saying that you cannot get out of the personal union through a war. I managed to do that as well, but you have to wait for a very good moment. This is really as simple as I said. You just declare war and you immediately get your own king. Then your main concern is not to lose the war, because if you lose the war, I'm pretty sure that they will force you back into the personal union. If you win it and make a white peace, you're free to go. So that should be your primary target. Forget about any lands you could conquer and stuff like that. Just get the hell out of this war as fast as possible. You need to protect your king. And let me remind you that with the cascading alliances in Divine Vein, you may really be simply overrun. So really, you need a good timing. Other than that, it's the simplest way, and you can apply it at any time. Also beware of the stability hits, because you need to have bad relations with the nation you're in personal union with. This concerns the second way out of a personal union, which is the peaceful way. The king that is connecting your countries is not immortal, and he will die sooner or later. At that moment, when another king should arise to the throne, you have the moment to break the personal union. This is automatically done if you and the major partner in the personal union have a relation of 0 or less, or I think it's less than a 0, so -1 and below. I usually try to keep it around -100, because the major partner will always try to have the relations above 0, because he knows that you're trying to break. Even the AI knows this. So first step should be immediately break the alliance with the major partner in the personal union, because if you don't, you don't have a choice. They drag you into a war if you have an alliance. So that's something you really want to avoid, and they have no way of forcing you back into the alliance. So even though you're in a personal union, just dissolve the alliance and reject all their offers of renewing the alliance. This will also always make the relations worse. So it's something you want to avoid and do based on where you're standing. Second thing is, just insult the hell out of them. Never ever send them a gift. and vice versa. Never insult the vassal partner in a personal union and always send them gifts. You need to get these relations as low as fast as possible, because the funny part of this game is that their king can die at any moment. For example, you start and their king dies in 1 year, so you could be free from the beginning of the game. So I really think that your first step should be dissolving the alliance, which you most certainly will have, and the second, just sending all of your diplomats to insult them. Very good thing that you should know is that still the country, they work as a protector of a sort. So even though you, how should I explain it? Even though you don't have an alliance, people will avoid attacking you because you're in personal union, and even though you don't have an alliance, the major partner will usually protect you. So it's good to stay in it until you're strong enough, but having the relations as low as possible. Also, this works if the major partner in the personal union is having hard times in some kind of a war. You can backstab him by declaring the war of your own and becoming free. That way you won't have to face him, and he will most usually peace you as soon as he can. So this is the way of the personal union. I hope I explained it in enough details for you. If you have any more questions, just let me know. I have to admit that I'm a bit unsure about the inheriting system, about the inheriting of a partner. Basically, what I know is that there's a certain chance this will happen every time you get a new king, and the higher your relations are, and the more chance you have that you will inherit the country. So if you're standing on the better end of the personal union, you should keep the relations at all time on 200, have an alliance, and probably all the other things. Just don't let it slip. I noticed that the AI tries to break the alliance for some time, and then they just give up. So just counter their insults with gifts, and you should inherit the country eventually. It may take some time, but you should eventually inherit their country. Okay, question number 2. A lot of you folks has asked me about how to get the patch for this game. Okay, it's really easy. The patch can be acquired either through Paradox. First, if you have Europa Universalis free and you don't have a illegal version, you should by all means march. If you haven't done it, do it right now to the Paradox forums and register your version there. That way you get a huge way of talking to Paradox. They're really active on their forum. They will answer your questions. If you have any problems with your game, just do that, answer there, they will help you. This also goes for the patches. They are always available through their web page. Well, it's more of a forum site, forum part of their web page, like this, forum part of their web page, and it's always available for the people that have the registered version. So if you register, you will see the technical help and all these parts for Europa Universalis free. So you should really do that, and you can get the patches from there. Second way how to do this is not running your game through Steam, but there are 2 files in the folder where you installed Europa Universalis. Even if you have it on Steam, you can still access these 2 files. Just go into your Steam folder and you should see like Europa Universalis .executable, the exe file, and EU3.exe. I'm not sure which one is the correct one, but one of them is very small and one of them is very big. Run the small file. That will pop up a window through which you can download the patch. It's like a intro page where you will see Europa Universalis free, blah blah blah, play game and check for updates. So check for updates is the one you want, and they will automatically download and install the patch for you. This is connected directly to the Paradox servers, so in case it doesn't work, there's some technical problem, but you can always ask in the forums. The same window is usable for you if you want to run a mod. Paradox games, well, at least Europa Universalis free and some other, have a very clever way of how to running mods. Inside the root of the game, you can see that there's a mod place, like a mod folder, which is empty. Just have a dummy.txt. You just unzip the mod inside this folder, and when you do this correctly and the mod is written correctly, when you run Europa Universalis free through this window, it will ask you, do you want to run the original version or the mod? So you can choose there which mod. You can have like 100 mods there, and you can always run the unmodded version, or you can run it from the mod folder. So that's very clever. Of course, you can unzip the mod into the game and rewrite all the files, but that's a bit tricky because if the mod is written wrong, your game will crash and eventually you will have to reinstall it. So I don't recommend you do that. So I think this should clear the question to you. I hope this will help you, because a ton of people has been asking me this all the time. This is really simple, so just do it like I told you and it will work. Okay, question number 3. This is really not a small question, but it's a recurring one. How to not be raped by a neighboring state? This especially is important for not the starting players, but the ones that actually played a bit of Europa Universalis. If you're a starting player, I strongly recommend you start with Spain. That's probably the best starting country in the game at all, or France, but France is a bit tricky because it has to face Burgundy and incorporate all of its vassals. So Spain is really easy. You can test the war by declaring war in Granada. You can expand quite easily into the north of Africa, and you get conquest missions. So it's really easy to grow and observe the way the game works. But what if you done this and you finish the game with the big nations and even on higher difficulties, but now you would like to try to play, let's say, a one province minor, or a country like Würzburg, or I don't know, any other like Holstein or whatever, and you would like to survive. There's really easy way how to do this, but it's never 100% sure. So you have to be really tricky and really know your way around the game. It can easily happen even to me that I miscalculate and a major power declares war on me. So the only way how to avoid this is to have great relations, and I don't mean good, but great, like 180 or preferably 200, with every nation that you see as a threat. And every nation that could attack you and annex you is a great threat. If you're if you have a country of the size of Spain and you lose a war, they will tear chunks of you, but you will have time to consolidate and get them back. But if you're a nation like, I don't know, Holland or Ulm, or I don't know, Schleswig, every lost war puts you on the brink of destruction, because they can annex you. This can happen to even if you have 3 provinces, or even Brandenburg could be annexed in case of a total destruction. But the AI usually does not annex 4 province countries, but they can. So the thing you do is you improve your relations with every neighboring country you fear. And this is where the gifts and royal marriages come in place. Uh, you see, if a country attacks you, they get the same penalties as you do. So, if they have great relations, they get -2 stability hit. If you have a royal marriage, they get -3 stability hit. So that's really something AI will most certainly not do unless they have a conquest mission on you. And even then, you can easily guess that this is happening because they will start insulting you and lowering your relations. Immediately throw gold at them by huge piles. You know, miners never have enough money, but I cannot stress this enough. If there's someone, who borders you, oh my god, just do whatever you can to throw money at them. They can never ever attack you because then you're gone. So usually this what I'm not gonna sorry. I cannot recommend you allying with the big states because the big states usually get into a war with a lot of other countries. Like if, let's say, there was an independent Poland and I was playing it, so I would keep the relations very high with Lithuania and also very high with Prussia. But I would never ally with Lithuania because Lithuania could get eventually into a war with Prussia, and I'm too close to Prussia, so they could and they would probably defeat me and annex me because they would be the leader in the war. So it's usually very useful to ally yourself with one of the great nations, but it's very hard to enter a war as a one province minor. So it's better and more useful if they just, lay their protection on you through the guarantees, but you're not allied with them. This is really a tricky thing to talk about because either way has their pros and cons. Not allying with them means that you have no one to really protect you, but allying with them may draw you into a war which will destroy you. So usually the great thing is to do is immediately gain 1 or 2 more provinces from the neighboring states. This is not, again, very easy, but just it's a good step, just right off the bat declaring war on one of your neighbors, or slowly and all the time checking who is weak, who has no protection, and who could be eventually defeated. So you gain another province. And slowly by this you can get bigger and bigger. But as I said, it's very tricky and you have to be really careful because all of what I just told you can blow up and fall on you and hit you, and it's never easy. The first years are usually the worst years, and if one of your neighboring countries get a conquest claim on you, you usually won't survive, no matter what you do. It's really this simple. And it worked in the history as well. There was never a nation that would be impenetrably defended. So just be well prepared, forge strong alliances, or don't, but keep the relations high, because when they fall, this can be really, really annoying because they get a new king and the relations fall for 150 from 200 to 50. So I know that this is annoying, but it's the only way how you can really survive as a one province minor. So, and also, the royal marriages are really good, and all the lesser partner, major partner inheriting stuff can become useful. But this is the basic. Just keep the relations high, and for God's sakes, keep the infamy low. Because the higher infamy you get, the more inclined neighboring countries are to invade you. This is absolutely awful when you go over the infamy limit, but even if you have infamy of 15, the chance that they will attack you goes by a margin of 5, so it's 5 more times likely that they will attack you. This I don't have any wisdom on how this works, but the higher the infamy, the more likely they are to attack you. So if you're a small country and you neighbor a big country and you have to get higher infamy. Just do whatever you can to avoid the conflict with them, because that's devastating. Okay, question number 4. This one is really connected with the one before, because a lot of people have asked me how to play a merchant state. I'm trying to show you an example by playing Holland, but I guess that some of the steps are not very, clear. So let me emphasize. If you watch this, you know that Burgundy was a huge threat for a long time, and I never ever would dream of attacking them, even when they were at war. And people told me, now you can attack them. It was a suicide. I had just 2 provinces. They could annex me very easily at all time. Just as one, they would divert one army, and I would be a goner. Because the problem is you never know what's going to happen next. You declare a war on a neighboring country, and they enter a peace a month after that. And even though they don't have any army, before you're able to conquer a margin of their territory, they can raise triple of your size, army of a triple of your size. So that's not a good step. But most of the small nations can really excel in being a merchant state. To get a good merchant state, you need to do several things. You can, and you probably should, get you should. Okay, again, sorry. Let's start with free trade and mercantilism. Free trade is really useful for small nations that want to trade a lot. So if you get +5, this should be +5, I have -5. Yeah, if you get +5 on the mercantilism or free trade bar, you will get trade efficiency +10, Euro merchants +2, which is really important, but also merchant cost -25%, and a compete chance of +25%. Also trade range +20. So this is really important for a small nation, and you will easily get 50 times what you get on taxes on trade if you're good at it. Which means also that your technology bars will excel, which again will give you enough advantage over the bigger countries. It won't help you defeat them in war, but it will help you having a huge income and colonizing or defeating the smaller nations or weaker nations, so you can expand. The bad thing on being a merchant state is that you cannot, and I cannot stress this enough, you can never get any infamy. Let's say you can take 2 or 4, but you can never get infamy like 10. If you get past 10, you will never succeed as a merchant state, because the compete chance is, equally, not equally, it's opposed to your infamy. So the higher the infamy, the lower the compete chance. If you get above 10 infamy, you cannot succeed almost anywhere, and your merchants will start to suffer and disappear from the market, which can, this could be called the trade crisis. I had this with Holland because I get some provinces, and I lost almost all of the markets where I excelled. So from 6 markets, I dropped to 2, and my economy started to have a huge problems because I had to mint, and that increased my inflation, and increasing my inflation made everything more expensive, which in turn made the merchants more expensive. So it's a vicious cycle. So you have to be really careful. If you're a merchant state, you can swim in cash, you can be the leading power in Europe, technology-wise, but just one war which you will win can ruin this, for several years. Your infamy will go down in time, but it will go down in, let's say, 5 years or 10 years or even more, and during that time your economy will suffer, because if you become a merchant state, you will be totally dependent on being a merchant state. So this is the basic. Also, the merchant states should probably colonize, or they should try to expand themselves in other ways than conquest all of the time. You can conquest, of course, but wait for the conquest missions or whatever. Just this is the basic. You're really dependent on your trade. Also, if you want to become a trade nation, you should get national trade policy, which increases your trade efficiency. And you could, where is it? Yeah, you could get merchant adventures, which lowers the cost by 33%. And definitely, this one should be the first one you will get. Shrewd commerce practice. This gives you compete chance plus 10%, which is really something for merchant states. The other thing you should try to get is having a lot of free subjects, because this is not entirely necessary, but it helps because it gives you a bonus to the tech modifiers. So it helps with having higher technology, and this can help you by getting larger trade range, so you can trade on more places. And it also helps again with the trade cost. And well, you get the idea, because you have more technology, you have a lower trade cost, you can reach more markets, and you can dominate the markets more easily. And it will also help to get the plutocracy, because plutocracy gives you trade efficiency plus 5% and plus 1 year with merchants, and gives you plus 20% merchant chance, which is also very effective. So basically, if you count it, you get plus 20% chance for the merchant from plutocracy. You get another 25% to the compete chance from the free trade. And if you get the ones I told you, you get plus 10% from your national idea, and also the world cost. So it's really easy to become a great merchant state. It really just needs to focus on that, which we're going in loops. This brings us again back to how to survive. You then can mint easily and keep the bigger nations around you at peace with you and friendly towards you. So this is really a good thing to do. The other way around, which I sometimes recommend for the big countries, if you start as a big country or a mediocre country and you want to fight a lot, you can still trade a lot, but you cannot trade on foreign trade centers, because of your high infamy, they won't allow you to trade there. So you go the other way around. You go to mercantilism, all the way to the mercantilism, because that gives you plus 60% chance on your own provinces. So even if you would go up all the way up to free trade, that gives you only 25%, while this gives you 60 on your own. So you can easily dominate your own trade centers. Also, the costs there are small. So when your nation grows to, let's say, 5 or 8 provinces, just try to acquire enough gold so that you can start your own center of trade. This also, and I'm quite sure that you know it, but if you don't, let me just show you. Oh, come on. Finally. The trade center gives you a huge bonus. For example, the one in Brandenburg gives me plus 12 gold in taxes every year, which is really a lot. And this also helps you with merchants, because if you see inland trade center gives you 0.5 merchants per year, and the coastal gives you the same. So really, it's a good thing to do, and you shouldn't neglect trade, but you have to know how to do that, because if you have a high inflow and no trade center, sending merchants is just a waste of money, because they will either fail or they will succeed, but they won't hold there enough to give you the income you desire. Okay, I hope that answered the question. And now to another question, if I'm not mistaken, this is the question number 5. Yes, that's how to fight inflation. A lot of people ask me how I'm able to keep my inflation so low all the time while there's skyrocketing. Well, there's not much to say to that. I just try to keep it sensible. Uh, my inflation, as playing Brandenburg, is now 0 at year 1723, which is really good. I get this by thinking ahead. You have to understand that minting is not bad. Minting is good actually. You need to mint, and you will need to mint frequently. But you have to understand what's necessary and what is not. For example, getting a constable in a province which gives you a lot of income, like Brandenburg, is really desirable. So you get it, and you mint for it, and you get it because the boost of 25% in a country, in a province which gives you 74 gold, is really huge. You will get it back in 4 years. But building the same thing in, yeah, I can't build now, but let's say in a province like, yeah, like 2 watt. Why would I build a constable in 2 watt, which gives me tax 1.12? So I will gain 0.25 gold per year. Well, that's a nonsense. So you on the higher difficulties, you really have to think about what to do and what not to do. There are provinces which need to have a tax boost, and there are provinces which don't need a tax boost. Also, you have to remember that from some points the inflation becomes really not just a nuisance, but really drags your economy down. So as soon as possible, I get the national bank, which here I got quite late, but in case your inflation gets high, or even if you consider a long time minting, you should get a master of mint. Even a Okay, let's see like this. For a country big as Brandenburg, forget that I have 0.19 each year, but let's say that you want to mint like this. Okay, that would give me 0.04 inflation every year. So you can get a level 2 master of mint who will deal with this in the very beginning of the game, if you know that you will have to mint for a long time. This goes well for the Merchant Republic as well, because they have very low basic income, but they have an incredible trade income. So they have to mint to expand. So get a Master of Mint as one of your advisors to lower the problem. Also, a good tip, not many people know this, but high centralization gives you a bonus. It's a small bonus of 0.05, but it helps over long periods of time. Like in 100 years, this is 5 inflation. So it's also interesting to have that. And you should always mint only in case you want to build an economic building. You want to build a building that you really need, like, I don't know, like well, what could that be? Apart from economic buildings, I'm not really sure. Yeah, let's say like an armory for countries that have very low manpower. So you have to mint for buildings that are really necessary only, and also in a very desperate times of war. If you want to wage a war and you don't have enough income, just wait. Save your money and wait for the war. This is also, different in every situation, but the only way how to battle inflation is, to have a control over your economy. If it happens that you cannot stop minting to have your country running, you are too far gone. If you have an inflation around 30% and you can't, this is a good indicator. If your country basically bankrupts itself at the moment where you are not minting and you would get an income of zero, or the over year income, let's say it would be minus 50, that's a very bad sign. You have to start disbanding your armies, and you immediately have to start fighting your inflation, because at that moment it's a vicious cycle. You cannot get out of this cycle. If you wouldn't mint, you would bankrupt. But if you mint, you just make the situation worse. So you have to be very careful with this. Disinflation is really working well in this game. So it's really realistic. So I really also beware that the minting is not the only thing that gives you inflation. You also get an inflation from the gold mine. So if you have a lot of gold mines, your inflation will gradually increase, which is how Spain collapsed in the 16th and 17th century, despite them having, the huge overseas territory, because they had so much gold that their economy basically screwed itself over the inflation. Every commodity they had was so expensive that the economy couldn't run. So you should really be aware of this. And even a smaller nation which has zero inflation can beat a bigger nation which has a high inflation, because inflation it affects everything: your base cost, your technology cost, your army cost, your buildings cost, your ships cost, everything that costs gold costs inflation. And as I said, there's not much else to say about that, because I don't think there would be something that lowers the inflation, not significantly. So you shouldn't. Well, if there's a national decision that lowers inflation, it's a thing you should get. No, this one is not. But basically, there are just two ways: the national bank and the master of mint. These two can really help to get over the centralization, to have it under control. So you should really, if you need to mint, just do whatever you can. Also, a good point of reference is never ever go over inflation 10. If your inflation reaches 10, whatever you do, however this will hurt you, you have to lower it. Never go above 10, because 10 is really, inflation 10 means that everything is 10% more expensive. And if you have for example, I have a monthly income of 392 gold. Imagine that just 10 inflation means that it wouldn't be, like this. I have a 392 gold income, that stays. But my monthly expenses are 470. Imagine that the expenses go by 10%. If we, round it, that's 550 gold. That's almost 600 gold more per year. This is insane amount. So, even if my net gain 529, I would be having problems running the country with inflation 10 and gaining some money to expand it. So that's why I'm saying that inflation 10 should be the border for you. Never go above 10. I would say never go above 5, but there are times I go above 5 as well. In my Russia campaign, I went all the way up to 15 or 12, I guess, but that had a sense. I knew that I will have to battle inflation, and I knew that I had to mint to pay the tribute to the horde, but I was really worried because my inflation was getting out of control. Above 10, it's really hard to battle it, so that's what I'm saying. And even then, I remember that I couldn't put the slider like this. I had to have it constantly somewhere around, like here. So I was lowering the inflation, but I was still minting, and that really hurts your economy. Well, I think I'm talking in rounds, so I think this clears question number 5. Okay, question number 6. Question number 6 is how to make your troops better. Mine suck, yours always do so well. Okay, well, this again connects